were seen in the vicinity of Krame.
Hindi rin namin alam kung saan ito nang galing. Pero sa aming mga report mula sa ibaba, wala naman talagang sinasabi na may mga ganong hugong. Ang ating mga sundalo po ay professional at tayo ay sumusuporta sa bagong tirang na staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines.
And for its part, the Philippine National Police has likewise denied that there is unrest within the force.
As far as the destabilization is concerned, I don't think there is one because I also talked to the Chief of Staff, the newly installed Chief of Staff, Sir Andres Asintino last night. At ang sabi nga niya is he gave the assurance that the PNP and the AFP will work hand in hand in ensuring that the Marcos administration will be very stable.
Talks of destabilization in the armed forces were rife this weekend. That's after General Andres Centino was reappointed as Chief of Staff, replacing Lieutenant General Bartolome Bacaro. This is a first for the AFP. Centino was removed as head 5 months ago, only to return now. How will the transition look like for the AFP this time? And is a revolving door policy ending with a fixed 3-year term for the highest officials of the armed forces? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this Monday edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. With me in the studio, of course, Robbie Lampay of One News. And online, you have Ana Marie Pamintuan, the editor-in-chief of the Philippine Star, and Lucy Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Well, actually, busy Monday, busy weekend.
Oo nga eh. Oo nga.
Ami, ano ba nangyayari sa AFP?
Kaya hindi pala basta-basta chismis lang yung may magre-resign, ano? Nag-resign nga.
Talaga natuloy eh.
Si OIC ng DND, si
Kaso hindi lang PNP
General
nag-resign,
Faustino, ano? We have a new defense chief, si Charlie Galvez.
I mean, let's start with that. On the one hand, kasi nag-uumpisa tayo sa parang magulo. But on the one hand, we do have to say, yung sa DND, this is now a permanent appointment. This is not going to be a...
Mukhang hindi na OIC.
Hindi na OIC,
Malabo,
di ba?
Hindi, malabo yun. Tinanong yun sa Malacanang eh. Tinanong kaila Cheloy Garafil. Walang definite pang... unless you got
malabo pa ba
a
yun?
different answer, ha?
So we don't know if it's a nomination or an appointment sa OIC. Is that it?
Hindi pa sigurado. Wala pang klaro from Malacanang.
Okay, now in the meantime, itong sa AFP Chief of Staff, dati si Centino was already the Chief of Staff, di ba?
So
Then,
Centino is actually the predecessor
of Bacaro.
and the successor
Bacaro.
of Bacaro.
At saka meron ng 3-year fixed term yun, di ba?
Dapat meron.
So,
Although
parang nakapagtaka na tinanggal pa nila only to put in back.
Pero may qualifier din kasi that law that puts in the 3-year term, may qualifier siya eh. Pwedeng i-shorten ng president at his discretion eh. So,
Yes.
may ganung ano eh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, pero yun na nga, sinorten, tapos binalik. So parang what happens is 3. Kaya nga nakakalito. Plus, wala pa raw IRR yung law na yan. Kaya parang nalilito rin sila kung saan nag-a-apply yung 3 years. Sa position or sa, di ba, doon ba sa rank or doon ba sa tao, yung age niya. Parang hindi nga malinaw.
But I'm sure there are details to iron out, but it's still just supremely ironic, di ba, that this is a law precisely supposed to address the revolving door practice in the armed forces, and then we're starting off with within 5 months nagpalit tayo.
Nominated na siya as ambassador to India.
To India.
To India. Exactly. Yeah.
Although it also does make you wonder.
And it was done so suddenly, di ba? Parang ang bilis. Wala na nga yung ceremonial turnover, di ba? Wala na nun eh. Parang si ES na lang yung tumayo. Tapos, wala lang. It's
Usually kapag chief of staff ng
eyebrows.
di ba?
Yes,
Commander-in-Chief.
Siyempre. Oo.
Kaya hindi natin alam kung ano nangyayari.
Okay. Well, kung maraming masama ang loob at naluluha sa mga nangyari, pag-uusapan natin yung mga bagay na nakakaluha rin.
Sibuyas.
Correct. Pag-usapan din natin mamaya.
Oh, yeah.
Pag-usapan din natin mamaya.
In the second half, we have a special guest as well to talk about the issues regarding the PNP and the AFP. But before that, for the first part of our program, we will be talking about the agriculture issues. Siyempre, presyo ng sibuyas at presyo ng bigas. Anyway, we speak to our first guest after a short breather. Let's see you right back. Sinabi mo lang na 3 years ka, pero pwede kang tanggalin. Hindi ganun din yun.
But may political ano yun. Dati walang term. Ay, ng gabi po.
Only in the Philippines, local prices of onion make international headlines. Time magazine had to explain to its global readers why it costs 600 pesos per kilo, now more expensive than meat. The government's solution is to infuse the market with imports to bring down prices. But what does the agriculture sector have to say about this? We speak to Jason Cainglet, the Executive Director of the Samaang Industriya ng Agrikultura o ROSINAG. Mr. Cainglet, welcome back to Chiefs.
Good evening.
Magandang gabi po,
sir.
sa kanilang lahat.
Well, magandang gabi. In one of your statements released over the weekend, you pointed out na yung farm gate prices ng sibuyas, actually, ang layo pa rin, ang layo talaga dun sa retail prices. 250 to 300 pesos per kilo versus 600 sa retail. So, ano nangyayari? Parang bigas eh. Ano ba?
Kumikita ng malaki.
Actually, prior siya mag-pick sa 250 to 300, ang farm gate was only 160 to 200. So, again, ang sinasabi natin, farm gate plus, specific sa onion, dapat 50 pesos lang. So, kung ang farm gate mo is 250, or sabihin mo na 300, or kahit 350,
plus 50 lang.
Para, kahit 350, dapat 400 lang yung retail mo. Sa 50 na patong mo from farm gate, kumita na lahat. Yung biyahero, yung may-ari ng cold storage, yung traders. Dapat nasa 400 lang at any point in time, yun dapat yung maximum retail. Kaya nga, pero yun nga, sabi nyo nga kanina, nasa 600, nasa 700, talagang nakakaiyak. Dati kasi sibuyas, nakakaiyak lang pag niluluto mo. Ngayon, talaga nakakaiyak na bibilhin mo pa lang. Ang sinasabi natin, yung bago mag-New Year, napansin natin na talagang tumaas yung farm gate. And what we're seeing is, yung farm gate na yon ang nagiging excuse to justify yung mataas na retail. Of course, farmers are not complaining mataas ang farm gate. Pero still, at 250 ngayon on the average na farm gate, dapat nasa 300 lang yung retail price ng onion.
Jason, atras ako ng konti. As always, we start with the question of supply on whether or not may supply problem ba. If I'm getting it, tama ba pagkaintindi ko sa Department of Agriculture, especially with this move to import another 22,000 metric tons of onions, parang naririnig ko, actually, wala namang problema sa supply. We've been monitoring that. It's there. The importation is actually an intervention on the price kasi hindi namin ma-explain bakit hindi bumababa yung presyo. Tama ba yun? Let's start with that basic question. Wala problema sa supply.
May problema sa supply ng puting sibuyas. Kaya if you remember, naging guest nyo rin si Chairman Rosendo sa programa nyo. Sinasabi natin, as early as October, mag-import na kayo ng puting sibuyas at 7,500 metric tons or 7.5 million kilos. Just stopgap yung white Kasi talagang nung nawala kasi yung white, pinalit ng mga nagluluto, institutional buyers yung pulang sibuyas. So pati yung pulang sibuyas naapektuhan because of the shift from white to red. Pero sinasabi natin yan noong October at November. Ang problema ngayon ng DA, magsasabi sila ng importation, peak season na ng anihan. Okay.
So anong, oo nga bakit ganun yung, parang ba't tinuloy pa yon? Samantalang sinasabi nga nila na by January, dadami na ulit yan dahil nga harvest na. Bakit tinuloy pa yon? At saka, anong magiging epekto nun sa pricing? Yun ang tanong, di ba?
Una, ang sabi natin, baka may miscalculation sila. Pero lumalabas, parang deliberate, na talagang isasabay pa talaga sa anihan yung importation. Ang immediate impact ng importation mo, pag sumabay siya sa anihan, madedepress yung farm gate. Ibig sabihin, dahil maraming sibuyas na imported, ang local farmers naman natin, wala silang bodega or cold storage para i-imbak yung sibuyas, they are forced to sell kung sa magkano lang na presyo. So, number one, tatamaan yung farm gate. Number two, hindi yung importation would not solve the huge gap between farm gate and retail. Ang sinasabi natin, kahit sa baboy o sa iba pang agricultural products, isolve mo yung gap between farm gate and retail and you solve the problem of the mataas na presyo ng sibuyas. Kasi nandun ang problema Wala sa production, wala sa shortage, wala sa farm gate. It's the retail price that's the problem. Sa ngayon, definitely walang shortage kasi umaani ang farmers until April. Ngayon, after April or May, let's talk importation. Hindi naman tayo anti-agri-import fanatics na ayaw na natin mag-import. Ang sinasabi natin nga, nung October, pinag-i-import natin sila, ayaw mag-import. Ngayong may anihan, tsaka sila mag-i-import. Ano ba talaga gusto nila? Nakakalito kahit kami, litong-lito na sa mga kausap namin sa DA.
Pero yung 250 ba? Okay, yung SRP ba na 250, maaabot ba yun ngayon na mag-i-import?
Sa ngayon, hindi because they're justifying it. Kasi ang kuha talaga sa farm is between 200 to 250. So talagang hindi mo siya mabibenta ng 250. So, pero yun nga, again, using our competition, dapat plus 50 lang from farm gate. Lahat masaya na, including mga retailers. Ang retailer, sabihin nila, dumating ng 280, 290, they can sell at 300 or 310. Pero ang problema nga, yung gap yun pa rin ang hinahanap natin sa DA because number one, they know who these people are. Kilala nila yung consignees, kilala nila yung importers, kilala nila yung mga may-ari ng mga cold storages. In fact, nung nag-ikot kami sa Manila and Nueva Ecija, they know everybody, they know everyone in the business. So, nagtataka tayo bakit hindi nila mahanap-hanap yung gap between farm gate and retail. Parang they're so clueless and they're so, how do you say that, inefficient or inept para makita ko saan nanggagaling yung sibuyas. Pero if you look at the data, lahat nasa kanila They know nasa ng mga bodega, they know yung cold storages, they know the importers and even the consignees. So, bakit pagdating sa retail, they seem so helpless. So, tanong din namin sa kanila yan up to this point.
Pero kung alam nila yan, bakit hindi tayo nag-import in time? Iba yan ang sinasabi niya Dapat by July pa lang na-place na yung order, di ba? July last year. Para by the holidays, saka by the holidays, nandito na sana yung supply. And you're saying, meron naman tayong harvest. Bakit ganyan kataas yung presyo kung enough harvest naman? Kasi yung iba naman na sinasabi, March pa yung peak harvest, which is when the farm gate prices will go down. Kasi it's not a commodity na pwede mo namang tagalan sa cold storage. Hindi naman pwede freezer yan Di ba? Kahit may cold storage ka, hindi mo pwede tutubo yung mga ugat niya, pangit na yan. Wala nang gustong bumili niya.
Yung white, kaya tayo nagkakaproblema kasi ang shelf life niya 3 to 4 months lang. Yung red, kahit 8 months kaya. Pero yun nga, gaya ng tanong ni Robbie kanina, ano ba talaga yung issue? Una, sa ngayon walang shortage. Pangalawa, nag-harvest ang farmers. Pangatlo, ito lang ang farm gate price, 200 to 250. Ibigay mo na 300. Dapat ang presyo sa palengke is between 350 at the most 400. Ano tayo, let's be liberal sa mga traders and retailers and lahat ng mga nasa value chain ng onions. Kahit 400, sobra-sobra na ang kita nila. Pero why 600, why 500?
Kung walang shortage, bakit ganun kataas ang presyo? Saka yung nakikita namin sa palengke, ang papangit ng onion Yung mga
maliliit.
Oo, yung maliliit. tumutubo na yung mga
Saloks di ba?
So how can you say that there is no shortage? Siyempre kung marami yan, maganda yung makikita namin sa palengke at magmumura siya whatever you say. The demand will drive the price eh. Bakit ganun? Walang shortage.
Ngayon ang harvest season, pero ang peak niya would start next week hanggang March. So we're expecting around 22,000 metric tons ng red onions. Local yan, no? Local production.
Eksakto. Eksakto doon sa importation order. 22,000.
Parang kinopya
Kaya nga eh.
Hindi man lang naging original. So,
Pero
Pero
Jason,
noong December pa sinasabi yan na nag-harvest na eh. December sinasabi nila. In fact, that's why they aborted the importation. Kasi sinasabi, di ba noong November sinabi mag-import tayo. Sabi, hindi, papasok na yung harvest by December. Wala naman
Hindi na
nangyari.
pumasok. Oh.
Naging 720 yung retail. Bakit nagkaganon?
siguro i-disaggregate natin. Hindi problema yung harvest, hindi problema yung stocks. Sa ngayon, we can definitely say walang shortage. So dapat, ano ba talaga yung dahilan ng DA now to say na bakit mas mataas pa rin ang retail? Ngayon, kung ang sagot na is to import, yung import darating yan in 3 to 4 weeks. Pero ang tanong, would the importation reduce the retail price? Ang sabi namin hindi eh. Kasi actually sinasabay, if you look closely sa market, nakikita mo yung mga magagandang sibuyas, these are not local. Magtataka ka bakit may hindi local na nasa palengke when the last import permit was issued in July. So ibig sabihin dapat ngayon wala ka na makikitang imported na sibuyas sa palengke. Pero you look at the white onions, marami ka makikita kahit last December.
So ano nga yun, Jason? Is that smuggled? What other explanation is there?
Ang explanation namin, isinasabay yung mga smuggled and imported dito sa mga local. Ibang-iba eh. You can ask the farmers, onion farmers, tingnan nyo yung mga nasa palengke, these are not local red. Yung mga maliliit na nakikita nyo, yan yung local, yung shallots na kung tinatawag. Yan ang inaani pa lang ngayon eh. By next week or the coming weeks, may mga pula at mga puting lalabas na sa local. Pero lalo na yung nasa mga supermarkets, these are not local onions. These are
pero Jason, parang lahat na lang hindi maipaliwanag eh. Yung lahat na lang ng bagay may discrepancy yung farm gate versus yung retail. From onions to rice to sugar to pork. Parang hindi mo lang kung saan tayo pupunta.
Is there anything in the Department of Agriculture's explanation for the current situation that does make sense to you?
Yung importation does not really make sense at all. Kasi alam nilang aani, peak ng anihan hanggang April and May. You can talk about importation post-May or June. Okay yan. Wala naman tayong problema if they want to import. Ang talagang kinakatakot natin, yung palang statement na mag-i-import, talagang ang mga farmers ngayon, babarte na ng traders. Kaya sabihin nila, hindi na mabibili yung sibuyas mo, babaan pa natin ng presyo kasi papasok na ang mga imported. Kaya yung onions kasi, for the past harvest, yun ang sinasabi natin, okay kayo mag-import, pero wag lang kayo sumabay sa panahon ng anihan. So dapat mag-import ka around June to August to September, pero by December to May, sana wag ka mag-import kasi yan yung panahon na umaani ang farmers. And we can't compete kasi wala naman silang mga cold storages.
Pero
Sinasadya ba yan? Kasi earlier sabi mo, mukhang hindi na miscalculation, parang deliberate. So sinasabi mo sinasadya nila?
Actually, kausap namin yung ilang sections ng day, like si Asik Christine, si Asik James, kasama namin sila sa mga monitoring, sa mga pagre-raid ng mga cold storages, sa pagbubukas sa pantalan. Pagkausap mo sila, okay, kaya lang, nagtataka tayo saan nang gagaling yung statement na we would import. When in fact, everyone knows na simula na ang harvest sa Pangasinan, sa Nueva Ecija, and even Tarlac, and even Mindoro, they're harvesting now. So, we were surprised, pero yung surprise, napalitan ng inis, parang sinasadya. At talagang,
Now, Jason,
talagang isasabay sa anihan.
Jason, projecting forward, kung pumasok yung importation, 22,000 metric tons, mag-aani rin another 22,000 metric tons, what's the worst case scenario for our local farmers? Is there a possibility of a glut and for that matter, for the farmers actually selling at a loss?
Yun ang kinakatakot natin kasi noong mga previous years, sumaba yung imports sa production, bumagsak up to 15 pesos, would you believe, per kilong farm gate. 15 pesos. Talagang, actually, yung imports naman, hindi naman tatamaan yan consumers or yung mga, tatamaan talaga, basically, yung producers. Kasi babaratin sila ng mga traders. Kasi nga, naroon yung amba na, marami ng imports, ibigay nyo na sa amin sa mas mura kaysa mabulok. Of course, farmers, dahil wala silang post-harvest facilities, ibebenta nila para lang mabawi yung puhunan. Yun ang ayaw nating mangyari. And talagang we are really objecting itong statement ng DA that they will import. Kasi talagang sabay na sabay sa yan eh. So, and yun nga ang question natin, yung imports ba would result in reduced retail price? Hindi naman, di ba?
Pero yun nga, I go back to my question kanina eh. Jason, I go back to my question kanina eh. Parang, ang daming produkto na parang ganun ang problema. May disconnect between the farm gate and yung retail prices. At hindi maipaliwanag ng gobyerno. So mukhang hindi lang isang produkto yung, kumbaga, it's not confined to just one item or one product. Is there a problem with the system? Is there a problem with the procedures? Is there a problem with the policy in general?
Palagay ko, masyadong consumer-centric yung policies natin. Halimbawa, sa baboy or sa bigas o mahal yan, baba mo taripa. As if that will solve the problem. Sa onions, mataas ang presyo, mag-import tayo. Masyadong consumer-centric. And then, parang ganyan sa producer eh. Nakatingin lang tayo sa consumer side na as if yung policies mo would reduce prices. Tapos, ang lagi mong kinakasangkapan ay yung producers. As if yung inflation ay gawa ng producers. Hindi naman. Yung sa onions... Yun ang problema eh. Sino yung may kasalanan? Siyempre, isipin din nila yung consumer kasi napakarami niya, million compared to the producer, no? At saka sinasabi nga, kung nag-import as early as July, we won't have this problem eh. Kaya lang, hinarang yung importation order at siguro natatakot sa mga taga-DA, baka magkatanggal-tanggal sila. Pareho na nag-import ng sugar na even the sugar actually, hanggang ngayon, ayaw bumaba ng presyo.
Exactly.
But 100 92 to 100
Yun din yung tanong ko, Jason eh. If in fact that one problem is this is too consumer-centric, even from a consumer-centric point of view, it's failing. Di ba? Kasi even at the retail level, hindi naman bumababa yung presyo ng lahat ng commodities.
Going back lang sa onion, yung sa onion baliktad eh. Kami pa nagpupush na mag-import sila as early as October eh.
Yes.
Kasi nga, 50% yung problem ng white. Alam kasi natin na yung white talagang wala na around October, September pala. Kaya sabi natin, mag-import kayo para di ma-apektan yung red. At yung shortage card. Yung kasi ang problema, basta dinangle na yung shortage card ng traders, nandun na yung artificial jacking up. Ang tanong natin, ano yung dapat magawa ng DA?
Yes.
Alam ng DA ang gagawin kasi they know everybody sa business. They know the traders, they know the biyaheros, they know the owners of the cold storages, they know the consignees, they know the importers.
So, hindi ineptitude, di ba? So, kung hindi ineptitude, ano? Kasi ikaw rin nagsabi na, alam nila yan lahat eh, di ba? Alam naman nila yan eh. So, so hindi sila inept, hindi rin sila... hindi sila tanga, di ba? So, anong problema? Corrupt ba sila? I guess. In a word, what's wrong?
Siguro out of courtesy, let them answer kung ano sila. Pero as far as we're concerned, kilala nila lahat. So nagtataka tayo, bakit hanggang ngayon paikot-ikot kasi ng paikot-ikot? They know everybody in the value chain. They know everyone sa supply chain ng onions. And yet, they're not doing anything. Doon lang nakafocus sa imports as if imports would lower the prices.
Yeah. So Jason, to that point, ang inaanong pinupunta mo is the value chain, the supply chain dito sa bansa mismo, di ba? So you're pointing out to the traders, cold storage and so on, middlemen essentially. So if you were the Department of Agriculture and we wanted to appreciate ano dapat ang intervention dito, dun lang sa supply chain, what should government be telling these people that, as you said, kilala naman nila lahat yan?
Hindi sa akin, mimitingin ko sila. Sabihin ko lang, nandyan na yan, we know, you have the onions, ilabas nyo na, dapat sa ganito lang. And then, may police powers naman ng gobyerno kung gusto nila eh. Obviously, nandiyan ang Philippine Competition Commission. This is act. Ito yung sinasabi nating kartel. Hanap sila ng hanap ng kartel sa baboy, sa bigas, sa manok. Ang kartel, nandito sa onions. It's right here. Kitang-kita nila and yet, no one is acting. If you're asking me, Sir Robbie, the PCC should intervene. Talagang kitang-kita eh. May manipulation, may hoarding, may kartel. Lahat ng elements ng illicit trade nandito ngayon sa onions. Pwede nilang gawa ng paraan kung gusto nila. Nakakalungkot lang talaga na hindi gumagalaw eh. It's unfortunate kasi may mga matitino naman tao sa DA right now. Kasama namin sila for the past 6-7 months. And yet, pagdating sa mga statements, nakakagulat na lang talaga yung mga sinasabing importation and wala silang magagawa. Which is really very unfortunate. May magagawa sila kung gusto nila.
You're implying may collusion sa, certain elements in the DA and the cartel.
Mahirap sabihin collusion eh. Ang sinasabi ko lang, yung behavior nitong traders for the past 3-4 months is already enough to warrant an investigation by the PCC. Hindi ng investigation, kitang-kita mo na nga eh. May kutsabahan, may hoarding, may cartel, may price manipulation. All elements for intervention ng regulatory agencies nandiyan na eh. They should have acted earlier. Tapos sasabihin na niya it's out of their hands. Yun, nakakagulat yun. Everything is in their hands kung gugustuhin ng DA to act swiftly on this matter.
Okay.
Pero wala sa equation na yan yung producer and the retailer. Wala. Doon niya sa value chain, saan yon yung iimbestigahan na yon? Kasi sabi hindi yung producer eh, hindi yung retailer. So doon sa gitna.
Post-farm gate, paglabas ng farm gate hanggang bago bumagsak sa palengke, yun yung sa lahat ng produkto natin sa agrikultura, yun yung unseen hands eh. From farm gate to retail, nandun yung unseen hands. And pero sa gobyerno kasi they know them eh. Tayo, producer, retailer, we don't see them eh. Pero sa government, every step of the way they know them. Kilala nila yan, from traders to biyahero to owners ng mga cold storages. Kasi lahat yan accredited, lahat yan may permit, even biyaheros may permit. Lahat yan, even owners ng cold storages, mga bodega, mga wholesalers, lahat yan are being accredited. Hindi ka pwedeng magnegosyo na hindi ka accredited. Every step of the way, mapasibuyas man yan, mapabigas, mapamanok, mapababoy. Lahat yan, may control at may regulatory powers ang ating gobyerno, especially yung Department of Agriculture.
Okay, Mr. Jason Kainglet, Executive Director ng SINAG. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us tonight. Ingat po.
Maraming salamat po.
Magandang gabi rin po.
Salamat, sir.
We are starting up another conversation after this break, so keep it here in One News.
Yan na siya. Good evening, Secretary.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, hello. Good evening sa inyo. Medyo nakatulog ako. Buti malakas yung ng ring ng telepono ni Marge, no? Sige. Buti na lang. Sobrang dami kasi ng meeting eh. So,
Welcome back, the Chiefs. In just 4 days, there have been so many stories coming out of the military. There's been talk of destabilization plots over the weekend after General Andres Centino replaced Lieutenant General Bartolome Bacaro as AFP Chief of Staff. And then today, Defense OIC Jose Faustino resigned, replaced by former vaccine czar Carlito Galvez. What's happening? Let's bring in our first guest, our next guest for the evening, National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos. Secretary Carlos, welcome back to the Chiefs.
hi.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. All of you.
Ma'am, maybe you could help us to understand the developments over the weekend. In particular, people are really confused dito sa nangyari sa AFP Chief of Staff. Centino was there, then he was replaced, now he's back. This really seems it really is unprecedented in the AFP. What's going on? And ano pong, as far as you know and appreciate, what's the intent and the plan here of President Marcos?
Well, as far as I know, because like you, I'm equally confused. Not really being privy to what's happening in the palace. But I think my surmise, my hypothesis is that this arose from do you remember that RA giving 3 years?
Yes, 11709, yes.
The Chief of Staff. I think that started there. I will use the term hypothesis because, as I said, I don't know the story yet. This is the first day of the office, and yes, this morning I was also investigating and calling all my intel sources and trying to piece together whether I can in fact form a narrative from all these floating small stories about me. And I have yet to crochet them together to have a better understanding of what is going on. So everything I'll share with you are mere hypotheses.
Sige, but then let's take on that.
Sige,
let's take on the hypothesis. RA 11709, this supposedly gives a fixed term to the Armed Forces Chief of Staff, hopefully fixing what people are used to as a revolving door at the very top of the armed forces. What is the effect of this development and this ironic and awkward start to RA 11709? And for that matter, what is the ultimate effect to the culture of leadership in the AFP?
Well, I guess as far as we can all remember, before I even got into this position, we've been really making remarks about how many chiefs of staff sometimes are there only for a few months and then they retire, and then they'll be replaced by another one whose names we can't even recall. And I, for one, for example, because I had written a book on population aging and pension systems, can you imagine if all these people who would be retiring are retiring as 4 stars? I'm sure you know what peso sign is attached to the pension system of people who retire as 4 stars.
Yes,
so let's put that aside. So if you dig natin yung kasaysayan, you will recall General Bacaro replaced Centino, just a few, because Centino was with me in some of the meetings.
Yes.
I think months later, I can't quite recall now.
August yata, sir.
ma'am.
Yeah, so 2 months nga, no?
Yes.
So it seems like I also looked into the history of this, and it seems that when a new president-elect is elected, the chief of staff, as a matter of course, is replaced by his own choice. Except that in this case, the 4-star did not retire but remained 4-star and is floating somewhere. And there is only one 4-star. So Bacaro is chief of staff and he is 3-star. Do you see the impact
Yes,
of the ranking
yes.
system? Here is a 4-star who
Right.
has not retired, and here is a 3-star supposed to be taking over a 4-star position. So this is where the conundrum also in my mind happens, and I beg your indulgence because I am a civilian and I'm just, as I said, trying to piece together this story and where all this thing that happened during the weekend had come about, because suddenly Centino is back in the saddle as a chief of staff.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Ma'am,
is this a way to correct that conundrum that you say it is? Do you think?
It seemed like that, but that roiled the military waters, and I don't know what their unintended consequences might be. And let us just hope that everybody will follow the chain of command, as most military people would be doing, and that Centino would be a stabilizer as the new chief of staff, and Carlito Galvez as the new appointed Secretary of Defense.
Ma'am, it's been 16 years
What about General
since...
Bacaro? Anong mangyayari sa kanya?
That I don't have an answer because I don't know. Really, is my answer.
Ma'am, it's been 16
siya
years
naman
more or
ang
less
floating
since the last time we had rumors of rumblings and grumbling within the defense and military establishments, and over those 16 years, we kind of presumed things have stabilized, settled down, and we have a more professional military. And then came this weekend. Actually, hindi lang this weekend the past few weeks before the run-up to this weekend, there have been so many rumors of active duty senior officers complaining about their top leadership and letters circulating. So I'm wondering if we've taken a step back by any chance, or are we still on the right course?
The way I see it, yes, the rumblings will remain so until they become a critical mass, and if they are able to make a move, if you get my drift. But they will remain so until they are crystallized, they become a critical number, until there is movement. But until such time happens, then they continue to be noises. And
Yes,
they are noises which are unverified and unreliable.
Yes, ma'am. But I was wondering lang kasi we kind of thought that we were already past this phase where yung may mga magpaparamdam, may mga tapos magkakatakutan na may maglalabasan ng bakal. Biglang may bakal sa kalsada.
But yes,
we thought we were past that.
but I think over this many years, they have also learned a lot, and they have learned what composite of factors will bring about a success and what other composite of factors will bring about a failure. You know, I'm sure you know how many threats there had been versus the first Aquino, and then Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Benjime, yes.
And there have all been attempts, but there have always been these attempts, but these attempts have not crystallized, have not become a critical mass, and have not moved. So I hope there's tremendous learning there. Yeah.
We were also surprised by the resignation today of General Faustino. Kasi there's no reason na binigay. And it kind of validated the rumors over the weekend na there will be resignations na from the DND, and well, wala pa naman sa AFP, but DND meron. So when was the last time you talked to Secretary Faustino, and may nabanggit ba siya any sentimiento de sukal na bakit ba ganito tong buhay namin? Wala bang ganon?
Wala. In fact, ang last na usap namin, nitong nag-send off kami sa China, ang usap namin kaming tatlo ni Benhar, kasi kaming tatlo yung nangingialam sa LCAC eh. Sabi natin, hoy, mag-ano na tayo, mag-meeting na tayo na hindi na natuloy-tuloy nung December. Kasi kailangan na nating balangkasin kung saan papunta yung LCAC dahil nakagawa na kami ng roadmap sa NSC. So yun talaga yung next step namin, na magkita kami ni Benhar, si Boy Faustino, at saka ako.
So there was no indication that Boy Faustino was about to resign. At that time, that was only last month. Only a few.
Then last week lang yung yung send-off namin. Parang Webes ata yun. Hindi ko na matandaan din. Oo. Na Webes na nagkita-kita kami dyan sa Villamor. Yeah. Nothing like that kasi pinapaplanuhan pa nga namin yun. In fact, one of the cabinet members, si Conrad Estrella, also dahil kailangan din namin siya dun sa isang part ng aming former rebels requirement. Sabi namin, Conrad, sumali ka na sa amin kasi magkakatabi kami dun sa send-off. Kanya parang nag-usap-usap kami nung Webes nga yun, nung send-off.
Well, part of the destabilization rumor is also being linked to yung call nga ni Benhur Abalos for courtesy resignations from the top leader, from the top officials of the PNP. Were you alerted about it, yung plano yan? And what's your position on it? Are you in favor of courtesy resignation?
Yeah. Well, November pa, parang late November, nag-courtesy call ito si Jun Azurin sa akin, head ng PNP.
Yes.
Mahaba yung courtesy call niya, parang umabot nga ng 1 oras, no? And during that courtesy call, sabi ko, hoy, Jun Azurin, i-reform mo naman yung PNP, institutionally and behaviorally. Dahil sabi ko, kahit hindi pa ako NSA, talagang binubuno ko na talaga na mag-reform kayo because you're the biggest law enforcement group. 240,000 sila no? So, siyempre, ang laki-laki niyan. Ilan lang yung AFP? 183,000 lang ang AFP. Tapos doon niya pinarty sa akin yung nangyari ngayon. Last week yan, di ba? Yes. Nasabi niya, ay ma'am, actually, meron akong planong ganito. Linisin niya lahat ng colonels and generals, no? Ay, pari-resigning ko. Sabi ko, bakit mo naman? So, agad ako nag-react. Sabi ko, ba't naman pari-resignin lahat? Sabi ko, gawa ka munang masusing anong pangalan nito, investigation kasi malay mo merong mga malilinis diyan. Idadamay mo yan diyan sa dahil hindi ba ang daming dynamics kasi ng pare-resignin mo tapos babalikin naman. Kung sa akin, gagawin ko inductively. Kung meron kang pruweba, sundan mo yung pruweba at talagang yung mga tao na palagay mo ay merong rason para magkaroon ng kaso, yan ang imbestigahan mo.
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Yun ang sinabi ko kay Azurin noong late November pa to, alam ko na to. Dahil sinabi niya sa akin.
Before we get into the details and deeper insights into that, ma'am, in the meantime, the effect of all of this, yung nangyari sa PNP, nangyari dito sa AFP, sa DND, all of this is serving to compound and feeding a lot of rumors, a lot of speculations. But at least yung sa police, ang isang malinaw doon is there was a rationale there. Very explicit and very clear rationale, whether you agree with it or not. That seemed to be a plan that eventually was very overt. It was explained, it was shared with the public, and so on. Ang tanong ko po yung mga nagkasunod-sunod na ganyan, nagkatumpok-tumpok na mga kaguluhan na ganyan that people are asking questions, yung nangyari po ba sa PNP at saka sa AFP, unfortunate timing lang po ba itong nangyari sa AFP or are all of these with our uniformed personnel somehow all part of a grand scheme?
I think that hypothesis may not be confirmed because from my own investigation this morning, because I had additional data from many intel, it seemed like they came together at about the same time point, but they cannot be crocheted together
They're separate.
as if they were part of one big narrative. No, they are not. It seemed there are two events happening in two geographies. That is my hypothesis right now, given the kind of information I am privy to right now.
How much of it is political? For example, with the DND, there are speculations that it's really the reason why General Faustino was never permanently appointed was because they're looking for someone to permanently fill it in, except that there's this election ban at hindi pa pwede yung taong yun. How much of that is true? And then in the case of General Centino, so si Vic Rodriguez daw, the former ES, siya raw yung appointee or siya raw yung nag-appoint kay General Bacaro. How much of that again is true?
Of course, I've heard all these stories and more, but my reaction really, both as a political scientist and as well as a national security advisor, is that I wish there were a more meritorious and a more rational way by which we put people in positions of authority and power, because it should not work this way na keso in-appoint ni ganito, tapos yung nag-appoint na alis, tapos yung naalis, dapat lahat ng in-appoint niya, alisin mo din. Parang nasaan ba yung rationality niyan? So sana itong mga events na to will lead the authorities, kasi I also write my memos to the president and make my own recommendations, which unfortunately I cannot share with you now for obvious reasons. But yes, at bottom, what we would like across the board, across all the 6,000 positions which will have to be filled up, that merit should be the major criterion for any and all the positions to be filled up. It's like when the president appointed me, he did not know me from Eve. He only knew me during the debate. Kaya nagulat nga ako sa kanya, sabi ko sa kanya na, that thank you very much for appointing a scholar scientist like me. That means you're putting science in the middle of decision making, and I like that, and I accepted. Yeah. I did not give a single cent to their campaign, dahil wala naman akong kaperahan na magbigay dyan. Pangalawa, I'm not a member of any political party. Bawal yan sa amin sa academe, no? So, I don't know kung other appointments. I think other appointments, when I look around the table sa amin sa cabinet, are of a similar kind. Rene Solodum is a scientist, Tony Loizaga is a scientist, no? Ang daming scientists in our cabinet right now, bilangin ninyo. And napakagandang signals yun for the administration.
Ma'am, earlier you made reference to stories about yourself. If I heard you correctly, you made reference to stories about yourself. So, ma'am, didiretsuhin ko na kayo. I hope you don't mind. Well, we've been hearing reports of a shortlist already drawn up by some people in the palace for the position of National Security Advisor. I'm wondering if you've come across that and if you feel that you have the full support of the president and of the palace, at least of most of the palace groups, as far as you know.
Thank you for asking that question, Ed. Let me put it this way. Ako'y nananahimik sa university and the president asked me to be National Security Advisor. Because the president asked me, the president will have to unask me. So I did not seek the position. I served because I felt, even in the sunset of my years, I'd like to help build a better Philippines. Corny man sabihin, pero totoo yun.
Well,
so, if there is such a short list, mag-apply po kayo sa presidente. The decision maker is the president.
Well, that one, ma'am, is clear that you never applied for the position. Pero do you feel that you have the support?
Certainly.
But do you feel you have the support of
I've not applied for any position, Ed.
Yes, ma'am.
Pati yung pagtuturo.
Yes, ma'am. But do you feel you have the support of the defense and the military establishment? Kasi we've been also, it's also out in public. You're being attacked by several groups associated with the government, or at least with certain factions of the government. I'm sure you've seen the commentaries by some people.
Yeah, I know, Ed. And my plate is full. Do you know I'm spread-eagled over 7 task forces? 7 task forces. 4 of whom are major ones. NTF-ELCAC, West Philippine Sea, Anti-Terror Council, National Intelligence Board. 3 others on disaster, National Intelligence Committee, and the NSHAC, Cybersecurity. Guys, if you're spread-eagled over 7 task forces, Mabuti nga may oras pa ako magsuklay ng buhok ko. No? Sa umaga, kung ano na yung natamaan ng mata ko, yun ang susuotin. Kaya nagsuklay ako ngayon. I mean, metaphor ba na? Hindi ko na nga nakikilala yung mga apo ko. Parang lumalaki na lang na hindi ko nakikita.
Only you can get away with that.
Point ko, yeah. Diyos por santo, bigla akong naggulat na akala ko yung NSA, ang principal ko lang president, and I will be, providing advice on foreign policy, defense and security. Ano ba yan? Pito pala yung task forces ko. Parang nasa airport na nga ako nakatira kasi pinupuntahan ko lahat ng mga insurgent areas na meron pang natitirang mga guerrilla fronts. You know where I am in all this? Pito yung task forces. Yeah.
Ma'am, nabanggit niyo yung NTF-ELCAC. You said you've finalized a recommendation for what to do with it. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Actually, there is a roadmap. Kasi yung NTF-ELCAC, the reason why you have Executive Order 70 creating that was that there were many, many barangays in our midst where there was no government. Where there is no government, then there will be another one who will administer what the government is supposed to administer. Thus, if you will notice, when they report, as this was done to me even before the inauguration of the president, nag-report sila ng mga military successes ng clearing of barangays. I think the number then at the time was 822. But after the clearing, the agencies of the government have to come in and really make sure that the reason why that barangay was cleared was that in the first instance, the government agencies involved there did not do their job. Yun talaga yung tutok ng EO70 eh. In fact, I remember that time, nung tinanong ako ni Presidente, parang June 28 or June 27, hindi pa siya na-inaugurate. Sabi niya, Dr. Carlos, what is the reaction to the report? Kasi yung nag-report nun si Faustino eh. Sabi ko, Mr. President, actually hindi ko siya naiintindihan at yung numbers na to hindi ko mapagtagni-tagnis na isang istorya. So I demurred and I said, I'll give you my reaction when I already understand what this is all about. And now I understand what this is all about. You have the NTF-ELCAC because government was absent in those barangays which are influenced, threatened, affected, etc. Now that we are in the home run, ano na lang 5 na lang yung natitira. 4 sa Eastern Visayas, 1 sa South Cotabato. And Major General Ligayo, ilang beses na ako nagpunta sa Samar, parang 3 beses na, papunta pa rin ako dyan within next month, ano? Yung 4 na guerrilla fronts na yun ay talagang pinromesa ni Major General Ligayo, madedecimate na yan within the first quarter. Yung nasa South Cotabato is already so weakened, so that can you imagine, yung remaining 5 guerrilla fronts mawawala. Sabi ko nga, ironically, ang test ng success ng NTF-ELCAC, it is when it becomes obsolescent, na hindi mo na siya kailangan kasi na-embed mo na sa agencies ng government ang dapat nilang gawin at aatras na siya. Yan ang nature ng task force eh. Meron siyang beginning, may ending siya. Hindi siya pwedeng permanente siyang nandyan.
Okay. Secretary Carlos, ma'am, maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Ingat po. Salamat po.
National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos. And that is it for the chiefs. We hope it was discussed. We'll keep the conversation going. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Luchi Cruz Valdez, News 5.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.